Welcome to Drinks Coach. Boy, this one landed on my lap. Yes, this show, oh, by the way, YouTube, press the bell, yada, 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 so you get my other shows. I'm doing loads of shows at the moment. Vinesack, at Vinesack, for social media on Twitter and Instagram. And you'll find me on Facebook. There aren't many Joe Wadsacks. There's only one Joe Wadsack, one Joni Wadsack. There's probably more than one, but I think there's only one. So, John E. Fells. John E. Fells, one of the great importers in this country, one of the great wine merchants in this country, because they bring in some of the great, venerable classics on which this very wine institution was founded. The Symington Ports, Wars, Dows, Grahams, the Madeiras of Blandy's, Cossart Gordon's, the sherries of Barbadillo, the Australian wines of Torbreck. Just brilliant. I mean, that's just the beginning, right? Just amazing. Their PR, and very, very good PR they are too, sent me an email. In fact, I've got the email here. Let's have a look. The email said... it was Lim, was it? Yes, Annie Lim Communications, and Kate Sweet. And we've got a box of 5 Rieslings. Want 'em? Question mark. So this was Johnny Fells's range of wines which come from different producers that they import. Legends in their own generations. For example, like Hugel, the old, God bless him, Johnny Hugel. One of the absolute superstars of the Alsace. The superstars of the Alsace are really Hugel and Trimbach. And then you've got St. Humbrecht and Weinbach. And after that, it's the also-rans, really. I know I've missed a couple out, forgive me, but yes. We've got Mesh Riesling. Mesh Riesling is a supergroup. It's a collaboration in the Eden Valley between Robert Hillsmith here at Yalumba, famous for the Contours Rieslings, Pusey Vale Riesling, but some of they're Australian icons, right? They're Australian wines which are they're milestones in the sand that frame the whole industry. And they've been making Riesling for a long time. So Robert Hillsmith, look, teeth in please, and Geoffrey Grosset of Grosset Wines got together to make this wine. Now, Geoffrey Grosset, I don't even think he'd even mind me calling him this, but he's the Rain Man of wine. It's very hard to get him to emote about anything, but he kind of speaks in the language of wine, and his wines are technically brilliant. We're 6 minutes in already, Christy. Okay, so this is a wine which is made between the Yalumba boys and Geoffrey. Then we've got Seifried Riesling. This is from Nelson. The weird thing here is, if I was going to pick a Riesling from New Zealand, I'd probably pick one from Marlborough, and there are some very good ones. I suppose leader of the packs at the moment are Framingham, made by a lovely guy who's from Manchester, and he's another winemaker there, and Forest Estate, which are making Rieslings which are convincingly like they're from the Pfalz in Germany. They're just stunning. So yes, and there are others. I'm sorry that I missed out many, many others, but there we go. Where was I? Yes, Nelson's further south. It's aromatic, very clean, vivid sunshine, but very, very fresh climate. Next to Neudorf. Neudorf makes a Riesling. Neudorf is a very, very fine producer that makes some incredible Pinot Noir and Chardonnays and Sauvignons and so forth. And I think kind of put Nelson on the map. But Seifried is internationally recognised for making stunning Riesling. And because the acidities are so high, often a little bit off dry maybe. I don't know if it's going to be dry or not. Then we've got a bit of a treat because we've got another New Zealand Riesling. But miles away from New Zealand, going further down. You haven't gone as far as Invercargill, where people speak with a Cornish accent. They do, because Cornish miners went there, so they all speak like that, which is hilarious. No, we've gone to Central Otago, and Central Otago which is a strange place because it's very barren. On one side, if you go to Lake Wanaka and look at it, it's like some guy has smoked a joint and then painted an album cover from the 70s. It's beautiful colours and dramatic scapes, and it's like you can't imagine it's actually real, but there's the glacier at one end, then there's a purple mountain, an aqua blue lake, and then a desert to the right. But that's actually the view you get across Lake Wanaka, looking west from the east bank. It's just an extraordinary place. One of the most beautiful places on earth, and one of the places where I believe the idea of a staycation started. That people in New Zealand couldn't afford to go to other parts of New Zealand, but when they discovered they could and paid a lot of money for their flights, they were going to places which were uglier than the place they were from. So they just go camping 2 miles down the road, and when the kids come back from school, they wash the clothes at home and they go, "Hey, come and meet us in the campsite. We've got some snags and the barbie," or whatever. Well, that's not very Kiwi, but you know what I mean. So this wine is from Central Otago, and it's made at 2 Paddocks. It's organic. It's called Picnic Riesling. And it's made by an amazing Anglophile man who really understands England very, very well. And he's always interested in politics when I've had a chance to talk to him about it. And it's Sam Neill, the great actor Sam Neill. Sam Neill of Jurassic Park and The Dish and a million other things. Fantastic, fantastic actor. So we have Australian Eden Valley, not Clare, but further, a high altitude Barossa on the side. I'll explain what we expect from that in a minute. Then we've got Neudorf. Keep on saying that. Sorry, Mr. Fells. You import Seifried. This is Seifried. Nelson Riesling, which is going to be laser fine and delicious, hopefully. Then we've got Central Otago, where they have this massive ozone hole. So even though it's not always that hot, it feels like you're in a microwave. You feel like you're going to explode, like in that film Scanners, right? Then we've got a wine which is about as complex and neurotic and as moody as Riesling ever gets, which is Alsace. And it's made by the Hugel family, who have been making wine since 1639. No shit, like 14 generations. And at the end we've got a Hillsmith Riesling, which is called Heggies Vineyard, which I've been drinking as a sweet wine since I was at Obbins back in 1993. And Heggies 87 would have been about a $4.99 bottle, and it felt expensive then. This is £15 for a half bottle, because it's fantastic. Okay, right, so I'm rather worried that my wife is waiting outside. Let's try this very, very quickly. We're going to do this very quickly. This shows you how fast I can do a retrospective of Rieslings. Okay, thank you, Fells. Thank you, Annie Lim. Thank you, Kate Sweet, for these wonderful wines, because it was like handing me a box and going, "Here's a show for your viewers." So what's missing here for this Riesling? Germany, right? So this is like all the rest of the world kind of drinking, and Austria, bit of South Africa, some Chile, but then it would just become a big show. So what do we have here? 2021, stunning vintage. Oh, yes. Oh, my God, that's exactly what I was hoping it was going to smell like. Eden Valley has some very famous Riesling vineyards already. Greens Hill Riesling, which is made by Stephen and Prue Heggies. Heggies are another sort of like they float on air, immortal producers in Australia. They make amazing Riesling. Mount Adam used to make a very nice Riesling, although I haven't seen Mount Adam Riesling in the UK for many, many, many years. Eden Valley. Peter Lehman. If I thought about it, I could think of a few more. But how's this different? Oh, God, that's dry. Wow. Ooh. These prawns, these soft shell crabs, something. What are we eating later? I haven't worked that out yet. Wow. Oh, that gave me a shiver, right? Eden Valley has a very strong, lean, if anybody remembers from a long time ago, PLJ, which is pure lemon juice, which is like concentrated lemon juice, or Jif lime, or Rose's lime cordial, I guess, without the sugar in it, would taste like this. But it's pure, like lime rind. Underneath there's a kind of a sandy, dusty texture, but it has this kind of the Eden Valley thing is all about the lime. It's all about the kind of long citrus oils, where if you were drinking it from Watervale or from Poach Hill River, it would be stonier. I think stone is fair, and there'll be a smell of peony or stocks or something. There'll be more floral. There is citrus, but it'd be a very clean lemon citrus, not this mountain of lime oil. I don't know how long I have to wait before that wine was actually sort of ready on its own, but this is almost like it's been weaponized. It's almost like the CIA have got hold of, DARPA has got hold of it and turned it into a bomb. Almost too much Eden Valley Riesling. Wow, what concentration. And it says Grosser Hillsmith. Wonderful with the right food. Can you imagine fatty food or seafood or shellfish or lobster thermidor or Welsh rabbit? It would be absolutely amazing with that. Absolutely amazing. Okay. Pay peanuts, get monkeys. I know I said that a lot. £23. Available on Otago and London End Wines. Now, next one. Kate and Annie, you've done such a great job here. I've got all the information right at my fingertips. So this is Seifried Estate Riesling 2023. This was £23. This is $18.49. Not as expensive. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh. What's wonderful is that you think that those Rieslings all the way down there and they're similar climates. You think, well, aren't they similar? No. These are nothing like each other. I'm sure they're not made like each other either. But one's made in trade winds by the Pacific, by the sea, a lot of sea air, very moderated temperatures, probably the same temperature at night as is during the day in summer. Where here we've got this wine which is made in Eden Valley, which is several thousand feet up, or 1,000 or 2 up. It's a very high altitude plateau. And it's bone dry, and it has very, very warm days and very cold nights, such that you can make bristlingly fresh Riesling like this. And in the vineyard next door, you can make a 60-year-old Shiraz. I mean, that makes no sense. That is so gucked up, isn't it? Really. But anyway, there we go. This is classic Australian Riesling, and this is classic New Zealand Riesling, and never the twain shall meet. The 4-hour plane ride and flight and everything feels like it's that far apart, okay, right? It's like different sides of Europe. Remember, Australia and New Zealand aren't a small place. Ooh, They make really, really lovely sweet wines, these guys. But this wine tastes like a fine Herbst or a Halbtrocken from someone like, I don't know, from the Mosel. This is much more European in style. It doesn't taste like it's made in the desert. I think it'll probably have palpably more rain. I think that's the difference between the two. This tastes like it's from a dry rain area. This wine tastes like a QBA from someone like, I don't know, in the Mosel. Let's pick one. JJ Prum, something like that. But premium, nonetheless. Absolutely delicious. Okay, moving on. Mr. Neil, thank you so much for this bottle of wine. I'm a massive fan. I'm not your biggest fan, but I'm a massive fan nonetheless. Okay. This is from Central Otago. So you get in a plane, probably even have to get in a plane from here. North, go up to Napier, get on a plane, go down to Queenstown. We meet a lot of guys who are very, very young, who are doing things they should know better. Jumping off bridges with elastic bands around their feet. Sorry, I've done that too. I've been to the Kawaro Bridge, or whatever it's called, the AJ Hackett Bridge, and the Nevis Gorge Jump. This is the adult playground for extreme sports, Queenstown and Central Otago. And this wine comes from 2 organically treated vineyards. So Sam Neil, who makes amazing Pinot Noir, I have to say. Really beautiful. I have to respect him. He's, over the years, really, really kind of got the art. But he also makes a Riesling too. And it's called 2 Paddocks. How much does this cost in these days? It's the same price as this. It's $22.99. It's a penny cheaper than the Mesh. So we're looking very serious here. Available lots of private enterprises, but no big ones. Oh, you can buy it in Harvey Nichols, so I can imagine it's more expensive there. Field and Fawcett, Farnham Wine Cellar. Venum, flagship wines, John Merchant, ND John Merchant, Merchants in Wales, Alexander Hadley wines in Hampshire. There you go. So it's around. You can go online. I'm sure somebody will sell you one. I really want to express how different Marlborough, Nelson and Central Otago are in terms of their Riesling. This wine tastes, again, arid dry. It's not arid dry. There's a bit of sugar in there, which is a better balanced wine, actually, you could argue, than this. Sorry, Jeffrey. But it's dry, but it tastes like there's really intense sunshine here. It's more cologne-y, it's almost muscaty, it's almost I was picking a style of Riesling around the world. This is more like a warm year in Steiermark, in Styria, or Wachau, or Kremstal maybe. But a warm year in Austria, in the Alps, not in the Alps, but in the winemaking regions, it would have more of this kind of dusty, a little bit of sprinkling of sugar and mango and tropical fruit, where this is like lime and dense. This wine is not. But it tastes like it's got a suntan. Tastes like there's sunshine, sunshine, sunshine. Slap on the 50 block, I would, there. Let's go back to this, just to compare. It's also broader. Feels more alcoholic, more robust somehow. More butch. Coming back to the Seifried after that, the Seifried's got beautiful, beautiful balance. And it's cheaper than the other two. It's a very, very nice Riesling indeed. We go great with lots of food, or it's the perfect refreshing glass of wine on its own. Right, well, every time I open a bottle of Alsace, Hugel, or Trimbach, it feels like an event. This label that almost anyone who's ever drunk wine in their life, gone to a wine shop, will recognise. This is £25, so it's in the same sort of ballpark. So we realise now that Riesling has come of age in the Southern Hemisphere because it's costing the same as the classics. Cork smells quite corky. Hope that's not going to be a problem. Sorry. I have a drink problem. Threw it over me. Sorry about that. Thank you, God. There is TCA in the cork, but there is no TCA in the wine. The wine is not corked. I don't know where to start with this. This is 5 years old. I did say that these wines were neurotic and weird and everything because they age them in wood, which makes every barrel very different because each barrel will have different levels of kind of oxygen ingress. And they'll have different vineyards, which are very, very different because the soil structures are from one row to the next different. And one might get sunshine, one might not. One might get mould, one might not. One might get botrytis. But you end up with a wine that is so together, but it doesn't. These wines sound like single voices. And see if you can follow me with this. Particularly the mesh sounds like a lonely child, kind of, and it needs time. It has a single voice and a single song. This wine sounds more like a duet. It's got a high note and a low note. It's got sweet and sour. It's got this wonderful tautness. It's like listening to Lennon and McCartney. Let's call it that. Then we've got this wine, which is more emphatic. It doesn't sound like Neil Finn, which is annoying because it's from New Zealand and I love Neil Finn. But it does sound like it's a bit more rock and roll, let's face it. I'm going to call it, I don't know, Raw Blood. Should we call it Raw Blood? Because that's just a drummer and a bass. But this one, this is the chamber quartet. This is the minor miniature orchestra of 4 or 5 musicians, but playing in complete unison. There's more of a sense of orchestral well-being here. It's not one lonely note, which sometimes Riesling can be, because it's a microscope of the terroir, and that's what Riesling lovers are after in some ways. But the reason why Alsace is different is because Alsace tastes more worked, more rehearsed, more like there's 5 or 6 different instruments playing at the same time. I've never thought about it that way before, but I don't think I'm ever going to be able to unthink that. But that's an absolutely delicious wine for 25 quid. Hell yeah. Okay. So my poor wife can come in from the cold, so I've just seen that she's waiting outside. We'll just do one more wine, and that'll be that. Heggies Vineyard, single vineyard in the Eden, I think. Yeah, Eden Valley. This is 2023, so couldn't be younger. And this wine is very famously very sweet. Now, I remember this wine is a botrytised wine. So this wine has been selected berry by berry if it's had noble rot. So it's not been aged like an Alsace or a Spätlese where just left on the vine to get sweeter. They're picking the sweet grapes. It's like the prodigal son returns. The last time I smelled Heggies Riesling, I think I was in Australia in 2013. So how long ago is that? That's over 10 years ago. And I smell that and I can visualise the motel I'm staying in. I can visualise the back porch and the vineyard outside. I can feel the stickiness of the heat. I can smell the half-drunk bottle of Cooper's in the glass next to me. This is Australia in a very refined, beautiful way. It's only 10.5% alcohol, so I imagine the sugar levels are very high. Actually not as high as I expected. And they're probably sub 100. Just. Grams per litre, that is. But it tastes like slices of Japanese peaches. White peach. It's like a Bellini. And it has the Sakura, that kind of floral blossom character. This is a really beautiful wine. And it's £15 this much, and it arrives on the table and you're serenading someone you love, boy or girl or anything in between. And this is sitting in the bucket and you pour that. I'm pretty sure you'll get what you want. There you go. John Fell's lightning fast tour around the world with Riesling, ignoring Chile and Germany, Washington State, maybe in Australia. We're starting to pick hairs. So Eden Valley, Australia. Nelson, New Zealand. Central Otago, New Zealand. Sam Neill. Alsace, the Hugel family. This is their classic 2019 Riesling. Really brilliant wine. And at the end, again, a wine of such precision. It's almost more precise than the wine at the front. You can see why Robert and Jeffrey get on. See you next time.